down the concepts. And the 5-week engagement that we talked about, I'm going to take that 5-week engagement and put it into a digital course.
Radio show, man, they everywhere. All right, y'all, we're tuned in for another episode via Zoom of Make That Radio Show. I am your host, Andreas, and I have on with us Miss Scherrie Prince, who is an attorney. Ooh, I love talking to attorneys because y'all just have a different way of looking at things from, because it's from like a legal perspective. And Miss Prince, she loves dealing with entrepreneurs and have all this wonderful information that we're going to get into. But today we're going to focus this episode around the entrepreneurship and estate planning, creating a lasting legacy. When I know that for the last couple of years or so, through social media and all these other different platforms, legacy is like a hot button topic, right? And creating a legacy and what that is. So Ms. Prince, or Scherrie, whichever you prefer.
Scherrie is fine.
Okay. Tell us a little background into, because I was reading over your bio, and I know you got your MBA, but you didn't want to just stop there. Business savvy is one thing, but then also the legal information that goes with that. I think it makes you a very well-rounded person and ready for a lot of stuff. So what was it that inspired you to really get into law?
Really necessity. I grew up with my grandparents and my aunt. From a child, my mother had been sick and my brother and I just kind of floated around from family member to family member's house until my mom passed away at 16. Her parents were very, entrepreneurial minded, even though at the time I didn't actually know what that word meant. So I grew up on a 150 plus acre farm. We picked watermelons, potatoes, peanuts, corn. I mean, you name it. I've even been in the cotton field. So, just kind of growing up around that. Well, fast forward, 16, my mom passes away. In my early 20s, both of my grandparents passed away. And they passed away without a will or a trust.
So that farm.
Hey y'all, it's Andreas of Baked Out Radio Show, Baked Out Marketing. If you're trying to market your business on a budget, we got you covered. We got our Pick 2 or Pick 4 holiday special going on. You can pick from having an interview done, getting your business tagged, having a write-up on your business, a 31 Savage collaboration. Everybody loves a Savage. Having merchandise, brand collaboration opportunities, commercial inserted into our interviews, or guess what? If you don't have a commercial, we got you covered. 30 seconds, baby. All you gotta do, give us a call, 478-388-0208, or you can reach out via email, bankedoutradioshow@gmail.com. That's banked out with 2 T's, baby.
Very hard. Yeah, very hard. And by this time I had my MBA, and I really, even though I'm an attorney, I consider myself as a business person with a law degree. And, I have an active law practice, but primarily what I do is I try to help people position themselves, whether you have a business or not, position themselves for legacy and generational wealth for future generations. And also to kind of show them how to protect what they have from creditors. Now, one famous line that I use a lot is, it doesn't matter if your account is negative every single day that you live. There are things that you can do through vehicles like insurance and other things that will ensure a legacy once you pass. So I try to catch people as early as possible to show them how to protect their assets and leave a legacy.
So what's the top 3 things that people have a misnomer about when it comes to building a legacy?
Okay, the first thing is that I don't have enough assets. Well, it doesn't matter what you have today. It's kind of like when you get ready to get married. You may start off with very modest beginnings, but what happens once you start building things up? I teach people a lot of mindset. When you acquire an asset, you don't wait until you buy the asset to figure out how to protect it. You already have a plan in mind. So I teach people the mindset portion. It doesn't matter what you have, you still need the infrastructure in case you have influx or, as you're blessed throughout your life. Number two, is that, when I'm dead, I don't need it anyway. Well, that's a lot of people think about that. Once they're gone, they really don't think about other generations. And that's a misnomer because there are things that you can do in your lifetime, even without the help of attorneys or accountants or CPAs, that can set your heirs up for generations to come. And it's very easy to do. And it kind of takes us into number three, which is it's too expensive. I teach people on a weekly basis for free through workshops how to do things right now with professionals who may be commission-based or they may be fee-based for a very low fee. And you can do some things yourself as well through public resources and just creativity within your family.
So why do you think people have this misconception of they should wait until they build assets or, where do you think that stems from? Is that just lack of education? Is it some stereotypical thought process, or it's a combination, or we just don't talk about it enough in society?
I think it's some of all of it. Had my grandparents not passed away without a will, I don't know that I'd actually even be doing this because the truth is, after that happened, my grandparents had 5 children. My mother passed away, and so we were stuck with the task of dividing up over 150 acres worth of land and personal assets. Well, I don't know. I don't know about your family, but my family couldn't really get along. And so, excuse me,
When it comes to assets, I think a lot of people family falls in that category.
right. So we had some shenanigans. And and with the shenanigans, it really prompted me to study more and to kind of figure out what was going on. And that's really what pushed me to go to law school. I didn't start law school until, I'd already had a career in real estate. I had a mortgage company. I was a real estate broker. And so law school was not my first choice. It really was not. But after dealing with my family and just kind of seeing how the issue of heir property not only affected my family, but other families, I was really encouraged to help other people.
So then why focus in with entrepreneurs? Because I'm like, you had a mortgage company, you did real estate. You could have just been, working with high-end clientels and things of that nature. Why focus on small entrepreneur starting their business?
Same foundation. As an individual, there are certain things that I can do as a sole proprietor to earn income. I may not know just by maybe setting up a simple LLC, I have all these other tax advantages that are available to me. By setting up a irrevocable trust, I can shield myself from creditors. So I really want to work with entrepreneurs because I feel like with any estate plan, there has to be some sort of business component for 3 reasons: for the tax benefits, to shield your wealth and your assets from creditors, and also to leave a legacy. So I really feel like that's the next evolution in legacy building. And it doesn't have to be that you own Amazon or Microsoft or Walmart, but there are structures that I help people put in place that are easy to work through, that are not complicated, that set them up for success.
Okay, so how do you handle people like, well, I got my LLC or whatever, and I did the filing online and stuff like that, as people can do. I don't really need a plan for asset protection. They think it's already protected.
One, if people fight for their limitations, I let them keep them. I offer them resources. Some people you can help and some people you can't help. But for those that I can help, I really try to give them alternatives. For instance, if somebody tells me that they have a business, okay, you have a business, how many entities do you have? And they're like, well, I have an LLC and I'm running 5 companies out of my LLC.
Oh.
Right. I'm like,
okay, so can I just go ahead and say, I know from that, like say if they're sued, they can sue all 5 of them because they file up under the same LLC name and they're not separated. I tell people I separate out my stuff because I might end up doing something to where people don't like me or whatever.
Exactly. I mean, I literally have a client right now that has a judgment because they put a lot of assets in one LLC and now it's affecting every single asset in that LLC. And some of the, the businesses are unrelated. And so I tell people, if you are really in business, I like to start with a three entity structure, three entities. It's kind of like having a house. You have your frame, and then you have your foundation, and then you have the walls of the house. And those three structures, those three entities could be a couple of things. Usually, if you are an individual that owns a business, you may have a trust. And the trust may own your holding company, and then the holding company, of course, holds all of your different operating companies. So there are about 3 or 4 different formats that I use to get people started. But if you have a business and you have less than 3 entities for one business, there is a problem. You're not properly protected. Insurance does not cover everything. And you're really leaving money on the table.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see here. I love some of your questions and stuff. So I'm like, you actually answered that one. I was going to ask about the critical importance of asset protection, but that's what you're saying. So, okay, so how do you approach the balance between legal protections and business growth for entrepreneurs?
Great question. Because it's so individual. Kind of like you need a village to raise a child, you also need a village to grow a business. So one thing that I try to do, because I don't work in a vacuum, hopefully whoever I'm working with, you already have someone who is preparing your taxes, and you already have someone that maybe you're banking with or a financial advisor. And so part of what I try to do is bring that team together, because we need to be talking about, what we're all doing in our silos. So I can't be in a corner making, legal plans, because some of my legal plans may interrupt your tax planning. So I try to really, start with that team and, work an individual plan for each person.
So if someone comes to you and they're trying to like restructure or trying to structure properly, how long of a process would they need to work with you initially? I guess, where you're communicating frequently. Is that like a 2-month process, a 5-month process, a 10-month process?
So I do a couple of things. I am licensed in Mississippi, certain things. So if you need legal help from me, it's really going to depend on where you're located at. Otherwise, I have a coaching program that I actually coach you and work with your professionals in other states, and you don't need a license for that. Each person's plan is individual, but the shortest amount of time that I work with somebody is about 5 weeks. I have a 5-week program, a coaching program that can take you from A to Z and build a blueprint for you. Now, what is a blueprint? It's like a set of plans for a house. You still have other steps to take once you get the blueprint. So depending on how much assistance you need from me, okay, now you have the blueprint. Well, do you need the sheetrock? Do you need the paint? Do you need the shingles? And so, but minimally 5 weeks.
Okay. So how long have you actually been really coaching and advising people in the business realm?
I have been doing coaching in other states for almost 2 years. I've been licensed as an attorney for about 12 years. And it wasn't until really after COVID when I'm literally sitting in my living room and the world has slowed down. I'm having a chance to breathe. And I'm seeing how people are reaching out and they have all these courses, they're doing challenges. And I loved it. And I love the idea of thinking of going and working with other people without having a license, but just doing coaching and still having the same effect.
So have you seen where a lot of business gurus have popped up and they're trying to get people to pay for X amount of packages or whatever, and the information that they're giving them is misleading and can be potentially dangerous? Are you experiencing that as well within your industry?
I see some things that I question. but I also know that everybody has a different approach. I'm sure there's somebody out there doing the exact same thing that I'm doing, but they're doing it a different way.
Mhm.
I personally have not run across anybody that I feel is intentionally misleading anyone, but
Mhm.
I have heard some information that I may not agree with.
Mhm.
And I'll give you an example. Dave Ramsey.
Mhm.
In my opinion, this
Mhm.
is put the allegedly badge up,
Mhm.
but in my opinion, Dave Ramsey is more suited towards people that receive W-2 income.
Mhm.
I think my message is for people who are independent contractors, solopreneurs.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that's who I think I'm more suited for. And I think that's who my message is for. So, I don't agree with everything he says. I have heard some other coaches encourage people to do things that I don't think are legally sound, but we have
Mhm.
a different background.
Yeah.
So I kind of respect the fact that they're coming from a different angle,
Mhm.
but the information is still, in my opinion, incomplete.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely can see that, especially with Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
So when you're putting out the information, and I guess, do you like solicit for clients, or do they just find you? Like, how does that work? What's your process?
Well, I have been very blessed. I get a lot of referrals, a bunch of
Okay.
referrals. I started out about a year ago doing challenges about once a month. And so I
Mhm.
kind of got tired of the challenge. So now I'm working on a digital course that's going to be on demand.
Mhm.
And it's pretty much a starter course for people to kind of understand the concept. Because
Mhm.
tell the truth, Andreas, when I said asset protection, what was the first thing that came to your mind?
Well, one, I'm thinking about like businesses, uh, everything that it owns. I did think about, personal assets as well. Um, but I think I'm a little different than, most folks.
Well, yeah, you're not the average person. But there are
Yeah.
people, when I say asset protection, they're kind of scratching their heads. And
Hmm.
so I'm right now developing a course that's gonna, launch in January of
Hmm.
2024 that basically breaks down the concepts. And the 5-week engagement that we talked about, I'm gonna
Hmm.
take that 5-week engagement and put it into a digital course so that
Hmm.
instead of actually hiring me and paying me that higher fee, you can pay $9.97 and get the same thing versus paying me a couple $1,000s.
Hmm.
So,
What's up? So, people that are referred to you, when you sit down and you talk to them, I'm sure you have some type of process where you're doing like some type of consultation to get an idea where they are. How receptive are they to the information that you're providing, and where you can, help them?
I get some people that they really don't want to make an investment into themselves because
Yeah.
I do a lot of free stuff. I have a Facebook group. I do
Hmm.
free webinars at least once or twice a month,
Hmm.
and I have a blog. I mean, we have free information, but that's
Hmm.
not going to take you, you know, from A
Yeah.
to it's going to take you from like A to D.
Hmm.
People are very hesitant about investing in themselves.
Hmm.
And I do get resistance there
Hmm.
because, if you want the great advice, it comes with an investment. So some
Hmm.
people kind of shy about investing because they don't see the value in some of the
Hmm.
services.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So like, yeah. So I've been an entrepreneur full time since 2013. Yeah, 2013. An entrepreneur since 2005, first business. And that's what I've seen over the course of time, especially in our community, where we don't want to invest in ourselves. Like, before I got out there and really started doing stuff, I was paying people $1,200, $1,500 for consultation. And it'd be like for an hour and a half. But I really wanted to lessen that learning curve.
Exactly.
Um, and a lot of people don't get that. I'm like, I'd rather go to somebody who's an expert in their field who can go ahead and tell me the pitfalls so I won't even have to go through them, because that's going to save me so much money and time. And I'm like, where is, what I'm saying, this initiative where, because we think about, we can spend stuff as consumers, but why can't we invest in ourselves, especially when we're trying to do something and get it to a certain level? And I'm like, I was actually having this conversation with a couple of artists the other day, and I was telling them that a lot of artists treat their craft like a job and not like a career. The difference is With a job, you're just going there to make your money every day. You don't really care. With a career, you go to conferences, you go to industry networks and stuff like that. You really learn the industry and what's coming of the industry and what's going to be next. You go to do professional development courses and stuff like that. You do all of these things to raise your status in the industry. And I'm like, people have to like, stop thinking of it that way. Especially, I think if you're in business, especially whether you want to just replace your income or if you want to create something where you have an organization that pays other people, you have to stay ahead of the curve in order to see where the industry is going and not to get shell shocked when something shakes up the industry. But that's just my level of thinking. That's what I've been, prone to. Okay, so what are some common mistakes and oversights that entrepreneurs make when it comes to asset protection, and how can they be avoided?
Okay, so one, updating whatever plan you have. The number one pitfall is not having a plan. Number two is failing to update your plan. Because a plan is only as good as, like you said, the most common technology or the updates in the industry. So if you have a digital platform and the last time you put together your comprehensive plan, you were talking about VHS tapes.
You going back in the day.
I'm just saying, people do that. I was a consultant for a political subdivision who I think their last comprehensive plan was either 2001 or 2004.
Oh, wow.
And this was back in 2020.
Wow. Okay.
But it happens. It happens every day.
It does.
So the number one pitfall is failing to have a plan. Number two, failing to update your plan. And everything else is kind of worked out around that. Because what I do is kind of like when you go, at least for women, we go for our annual checkups with our OBGYNs, and then as soon as we leave, they schedule another checkup in a year. So that's what I do with my clients and my coaching folks. It's like, once we're done with the program, I put in rotation. If they're a coaching client, we have like a nurture sequence for our emails, and we just write them as things come up or when the next big re-up is. If it's my law firm client, I go ahead and schedule an annual appointment with them just to talk about, hey, did you get a divorce? Did you get married? Did you have any grandbabies?
Yeah, life altering events. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a podcast as well. What inspired the podcast, and give us the name of the podcast?
The podcast is the Play Big Faster podcast. And really what inspired it, my first coach really changed the way that I look at this entire knowledge industry. And, I used to be someone who did not really understand the importance of investing in myself. Now, I've been doing conferences and continuing education for years because it was mandated. I had a license, I had to go to conferences and, get certain credits to keep my licenses. But in terms of just really leveling up and doing personal development and things like that, I'm not gonna say I didn't see the value, but I didn't set aside anything to do that. So my first coach, we were talking, and I asked him the question: if you can change anything about your life, what would it be? And he paused for a moment and he said, when I was younger, I would have played big faster. Because I had the knowledge, but I really didn't have the know-how. I would have invested in myself in my 20s and done all the things that we're telling people to do now. But he was closer, I think, to 50 when he figured all this out. And he was like, I would have played big faster. And I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share with people how to get quantum leaps. You don't have to wait until you're 50 or 40 to do those things, because you can invest in yourself now, invest in your children, your grandchildren right now, and get bigger and better results.
That's what's up. So has your podcast helped with the business in any type of way, or do you see the direct correlation of it?
Well, the podcast is still young, and the podcast is not exactly what I do every day. And you just kind of put that in context. a lot of what happens on the podcast, it is, I do a lot of asset protection, estate planning, business planning, and the
Mhm.
podcast is more lifestyle hacks for entrepreneurs. So it's not
Mhm.
as heavy. People
Mhm.
think that, oh, estate planning is boring, it's heavy, it's tedious. But when you come to the podcast, it's like you get book recommendations.
Mhm.
You can, figure out how to organize your house better, things that
Mhm.
actually help you with your life to get that balance.
Mhm. I definitely I like that. Like I said, I watched one of the videos and I didn't get to watch it all the way through, but one, I love the intro.
Thank you.
I was like, oh, okay, I'm loving this. Because most people don't think about the aesthetics of stuff, and how it should be. And I've actually been trimming down my intro because like I had a whole minute intro. It's like, everybody else's intro is starting to be 15 to 30 seconds at the most. So I was like, oh, I think I can go ahead and trim my intro.
Look, oh my gosh, I was just thinking that like last week. Mine, I think is maybe 30 seconds. And
Hmm.
I'm like, it's too long because everybody that I'm watching is like 10 to 15. So I'm
Hmm.
gonna trim it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely trim mine and probably go ahead and redo it because I've done it like at least 2, 3 times already now, and I've had my platform since 2016. So yeah, it's been a long time, but it's been well worth it because I've gotten to meet a lot of people. So how do you get your guests for yours? Are you just using, like I said, like the Pod Match, or are people like coming to you, or these are people you already know that you've cultivated relationships with, and then you're talking about those lifestyle hacks and things of that nature?
Yeah, I would say because right now I think I only have 37 or 38 published episodes.
It's
Um,
more than a
yeah,
lot.
yeah, I have a bunch that I need to go to the, cutting room floor and edit them. But a lot of those are relationships that I already had, people that I know and love and support what I do,
Mhm.
and just really want to kind of tell their stories. And a few are people that I've met since I've been on my journey since
Mhm.
COVID. And some of the podcast episodes that are going to be coming out soon are just more of
Mhm.
those people that I met along the way.
Yeah. Do you know anything about the podcast stats and stuff?
You said about the specs?
The podcast stats.
Oh, stats. Yeah, somewhat. And I mean, I'm not a podcaster. It's just part of the platform, what I do to support, my other programs.
So the fact that you have 30 something episodes is fantastic because most people don't make it past seven.
Okay, I'm patting myself on the back.
Yeah, so do that. And then I think what was it about? This is 2023, around 2022, so it's 2021 data. There's like 4 million podcasts across all topics and things of that nature. Only about two of them, 2 million were on Apple. And of those 2,000,000, 400,000 have released an episode within the last 90 days, and then 200,000 have released a episode within the last 10 days. So there's not a whole lot of active podcasts out there. I think people get into it because like it's a hot topic now. And I saw this coming like years ago, uh, which I think is interesting. Like I did 100 interviews last year where I interviewed 100 guests. And that was a full in-depth interviews, which are like 20 to 30 minutes long minimum. And people were like, oh man, that's a lot. I was like, yeah, I just had a goal that I wanted to accomplish. This year I've only done like 30 something so far because I didn't want a lot of that because I do have other time where I'm focusing on just content creation and stuff like that. But I thought it was very interesting that people were jumping into the industry, not really understanding it, not being as dedicated and using resources to invest into their podcast like you've done. Um, so yeah, I thought it was very interesting. But it's a great tool though to utilize and to bring in folks and to like, sell services and all that stuff with it. So
Oh, definitely. I've seen some podcasts that literally these people are using to transform their business and like you said, promote other products.
mhm,
And it's really, I mean, as easy as it is to break into it, it's like a
mhm.
no-brainer. I don't know why more people don't take it serious.
And
Yeah, I mean, I
they haven't
have a
seen the
whole,
value in it yet. But they're eventually because I'm like, there's still a whole lot of room to grow. Since you are putting yourself out there more, you are your own business, and have you gotten to the point to where people have came to you and said, "Hey, I've been watching your journey. You inspired me. I went out there and started my business or started doing things that where I wanted to follow my dreams."
Now, I have not gotten to that point yet to where anybody just, that I did not know. I do
Mhm.
have clients who, come back and be like, wow, thank you for helping me get this up and going. But nobody, I'm still able to go to the grocery store and do my own shopping. I'm not over yet, but I'm working on it.
And I'm like, the more you do it, though, the more you'll get there. How how is your market as far as when it comes to people supporting your business and with the referrals and stuff like that? Are they receptive to it, or do a lot of your referrals come from like outside your geographical area?
Yeah, definitely outside of my geographical area. There, most of the people that I work with locally, because I'm in Mississippi and I'm in central Mississippi where the capital city is. So
Okay.
I get a lot of business owners.
Hmm.
But
Is that
they,
Jackson
yeah,
or
well, right outside the suburbs of Jackson, Mississippi,
okay?
in Flowood. So I get a lot of, law firm clients, but I don't get a lot of coaching clients.
Hmm.
So, and I tried in the local market, but the mindset's different. And a lot
Yeah.
of what I do, I have to work on people's mindset about why it's important. Because if
Hmm.
you don't understand why it's important to invest in yourself, you're not
Hmm.
gonna, complete the journey.
So okay, so just from a marketing standpoint, because I love marketing, I have a degree in it and all that stuff. And I know you understand marketing with the MBA and all that because you had to do marketing classes. Um, have you thought about taking the information and presenting it in like a funny way or a comical type way to appeal to the people to help change the mindset?
Okay, so not that I'm not funny, I can be funny. But I don't know if I'm the funniest person. Like, if you look at my TikTok account, I think I have one reel. That's,
Uh,
and I don't know, do they call them reels on TikTok? I know they call them different stuff in different places.
it's all short for anything that's short content, whatever I call it a reel anyway. So if it's 59 seconds or less, that's a reel to me.
Well, yeah, I don't think I'm the funniest person, but I have considered it. One thing that I'm doing too, I'm enlisting my kids to kind of help me. My
Hmm.
daughter just keeps me young. She's in
Hmm.
college. She's a
Hmm.
junior in college now. And
Hmm.
so, anything social media, she's like, Mom, you got to do this, you got to do that. So
Hmm.
she's kind of helping me along with that.
Definitely, I'm gonna send you some links to some stuff that I've done. I'm sure you'll get a kick out of it. I don't know if you can just tell with my personality or whatever. I'm naturally always energetic and like to be funny and stuff like that or whatever. I was a class clown in school and all that. Okay, can you walk us through a real life case where your expertise in asset protection made a significant impact on a client's business?
Yes. So I have a husband and wife
Mhm.
that he's an older gentleman. She's a little bit younger, but they both came into the marriage with assets.
Mhm.
So we did a couple different things because they let me know when they came in that there was a threat of a lawsuit against one of their companies. So
Mhm.
we did a couple different things for their estate plan. One, we set up a trust, and it was a joint marital trust for things that they are acquiring during the marriage because they didn't
Mhm.
have a prenup or a postnup.
Okay.
Then we set up separate trusts for property that he inherited that was heir property because he
Mhm.
brought children into the marriage, and so did she.
Mhm.
And so we set up a separate trust for her business interests, and I was really able to restructure everything they did, um, and just kind of look at what they had going in terms of insurance and get things together because they were sued. Now, the
Mhm.
lawsuit came probably like about a year after I started working with them, but they kind of knew that there was an ex-employee who kind of threatened some things, and
Mhm.
it really made both of them on paper look judgment proof.
Mhm.
Like, you can sue me, but you're not going to get anything.
Yeah.
And like one of the techniques I use is called the nursing home technique.
Mhm.
Years ago in Mississippi, before we had tort reform, you would hear about all these multi-million-dollar lawsuits where people were suing nursing homes and doctors for malpractice. And
Mhm.
now what they do, they have all these different entities. So like, just say you're driving down the street and you see a nursing home.
Mhm.
Well, the land is owned by one company or a land trust.
Okay.
And the building is leased to an operating company. The
Mm-hmm.
operating company does not have any employees. It leases contractors from staffing agencies for doctors, nurses, and all those folks. The equipment is purchased through another company. And so the name of the nursing home is held by an intellectual property company. So if you sue ABC Nursing Home, you're just suing the name, it has no money. Everything is a holding company. And so I show people how to protect your assets, make you look judgment proof. It's all legal, but there's just a certain way that you do it. And working with your accountant, you also have some tax benefits because if you're operating at a level that you know, have those types of threats, then you need to be doing other things with your money. So that's just one example of how I use the nursing home model to help my clients.
Okay, I get that and I love it. Is there a flip side to that coin as far as like, say there is malpractice and it's severe and it was somebody's, mistake and things of that nature, with it being protected the way it's protected, how do the person or persons, how do they remedy the situation?
The backup is always insurance. Now, the great thing about being properly protected, some people think, well, I'm just going to go get $1 million in insurance. Well, that's not the smartest thing to do because you have to pay the premium on $1 million in insurance. What you do is you protect yourself so that you only have to buy the minimum required insurance. So you see how that gives you more operating capital? You're still judgment proof. And if somebody sues you, they just get the insurance because there's nothing else to get. And you look less attractive if you have $250,000 versus $1 million policy.
Well, I love that.
People just think, well, I'm just going to go get all this insurance. Well, who wants to pay those premiums? And they have premium financing companies, but when you're going to reinvest that money into your business instead of paying an insurance company?
Exactly. Yeah, because I'm like, the insurance is already trillions of dollars anyway.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. See, you feel the same way I do about insurance. I can tell.
And I
think it's a very sensationalized thing. And that's how the life insurance salespeople, not life insurance, but the insurance salespeople be getting it, and life insurance too. It's overhyping it. Like, no.
But it is necessary. And one thing that I hear with entrepreneurs that we don't think about, because if you're in a service-based business and you like the business, what happens if you get sick or hurt? What if you're a full-time podcaster and something happens and you're not able to talk or record your episodes? So you have a long-term care plan. Do you want to be in an assisted living facility, or do you want to be cared for in your home? And so I show people how to pay the minimum amount for insurance for the maximum amount of asset protection and care if something happens to them.
I love it. So is there anything that we missed? Any pointers that we let people know about?
Well, I think you covered a lot of it, but I will tell people, one, get a plan. The plan does not have to be perfect. The plan may just be to visit some of your professionals once a year and get them to advise you. But you really need to make a plan and build a team. Oh, yes, one big thing that a lot of people don't think about, and even though I don't give tax advice, here's a pointer that's totally free. You need to understand the difference between a tax preparer and a tax planner. Everybody who's listening, raise your hand. How many times have you gotten your taxes done and you have this huge tax bill and you're begging the person that did your taxes, hey, can you go write off something? Can you do something so I don't have to pay the IRS? Well, that person is likely only a preparer. They take what you've done in a previous year and they just make a report so that you can file it. What you need to do is develop a relationship with a tax planner. This person looks ahead, develops strategies to combat all that. So you're not surprised at the end of the year because you've already done the things that you need to do to get a refund or not to have such a hefty tax burden. So that's one of the big things that a lot of entrepreneurs don't think about. They have an accountant or a tax preparer, but not a tax planner.
Yeah, and I definitely tell people, yes, like go get your CPA and sit down with your CPA and look ahead. because they should be able to help you with that. And then even when it comes to, tax attorneys and stuff, I actually interviewed a gentleman who did payroll taxes. That's his company.
Mhm.
So that was a very fantastic conversation. But Miss Scherrie, I appreciate your time tonight. Coming on and Siri, I'm not talking to you.
Your time tonight.
That's Siri. Seriously, didn't talk to me trying to mess up my episode. But I appreciate your time and your expertise. So anybody out here is gonna be watching this who's in the Mississippi area, they want to get in contact, or anybody abroad wants to, go down the coaching road, where should they be directed?
Okay, so I will tell people, I do a free webinar once or twice a month, and I tell people start there. It's 1 hour, it's from 12 to 1 Central Standard Time. And I just basically give you that blueprint. So literally, when you finish that free webinar, you have a blueprint. And if you, like what I've been talking about, you have the option of contacting me. You'll get my information and we can look at some other things. You can find the link to that at www.scherrieprince.com. Now, for those of you who are wondering how to spell Scherrie, it is SCHERRIE, Prince, PRINCE.com.
Thank you, Scherrie. I appreciate that. And I'll definitely have it displayed on the screen as well. So everybody, y'all go out there and y'all support. Y'all make sure you hit up everybody who is knowledgeable in the area. And as always, thank you for supporting the Make That Radio Show. Go download the app, go to the website, follow the social medias, visit on nature. Thank you, ma'am. I definitely would love to follow up in the future and see, how things are going.